Michele, maybe you know people from your travels around Albania and your line of work that maybe could work with Alisa in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your program, and lovely to hear the story of Alisa. I think we hear almost on a daily basis about Albanians wanting to leave the country, so this is really heartening to also see that there are stories of young entrepreneurs, young women entrepreneurs, that after having had experiences abroad, which is absolutely perfect, decided to make it back, to work it back, to try and use the local market, work with women. So very happy to also to connect you with the network we have. I think we have. For the first couple of years, we have supported a number of very small entrepreneurs in Albania in various fields, including in artisans in the north, in the south, women that do the work with traditional clothing, with traditional handicrafts. We're speaking about small businesses. We see and we know that one of the key challenges, a little bit like along the lines that you were saying, some of the key challenges they've been facing is, first of all, access to markets, access to networks of possible customers, and of course, a little bit of push and advice and mentoring in terms of, how to strengthen their business plans and things like that, and really how to create a network. So very happy to connect you with that. We have, for the first time last, I think it was November or September, we have organized a Women Expo of women entrepreneurs in Albania, and there is also a system of trying to promote healthy competition among ideas for businesses, and then be able to select a few and trying to support with a little bit of financial support if they need some equipment to start the business, or just advice to how to plan for the business.
And what do you see, especially in the more rural areas, what are the main barriers to women taking this step towards entrepreneurship?
Well, I mean, the rural areas, first of all, I think because of the sort of the economic sort of dynamics and characteristics of the country, rural areas are, of course, the main vocation is agriculture and rural agricultural work mostly. So we know that most of the women are informally employed in agriculture. I think we have seen a number of cases in the past few years of women who kind of try to make it, step it up and start their own businesses, especially in the agritourism sector. I think there is, when it comes to women entrepreneurship, there are a number of challenges that the country is still facing, although, of course, things are changing and things are improving and evolving. We know that they have, when it comes to agribusiness sectors, they have a lot of still challenges to actually be able to access to land titles, to property rights, despite legislation being absolutely sort of equalizing, the opportunities.
In what way are they struggling if the legislation?
Well, because I think there is a question of, many times we see that laws are reformed, laws are fixed in order to be able to be in line with international norms and standards. But when the actual practical implementations of the law also has to face, the social conservative norms that we still sometimes still see in rural areas. So there is a tradition, there is an assumption that, for example, land ownership would be transmitted across patriarchal lines. And this, we see that it continues to be the case much more often than it should. So that's one of the, surely one of the challenges that we see.
Does this patriarchal sort of idea system, does this impact women as well? Because I had a friend in Leisure, she has an artisan studio, which she makes traditional clothing. And she said a lot of the women she wants to work with, they're not allowed to come to work in her studio. She has to send and collect the work to and from them because their husbands want them to stay at home.
Absolutely.
Maybe there's not, the local kindergarten is only open till 12 o'clock or there's not one nearby. Is this something you encounter, and you as well?
Yeah, we do. We see that, we work in a few local areas and we see that one of the key challenges that women face is also the space that they have to get together, to participate, to actually have agency over their own lives, because again there is this sort of deeply entrenched norms according to which it is the man of the family who's supposed to decide what to do, to go to local councils and represent family interest in whatever gathering or assembly. So we see it, we try to support. We have something which we call local action group of women that we try to overcome even the barriers from women themselves, because sometimes, you know, they are the first ones to say, you know, I'd love to do that, but I can't, because so it's not something that is going to change overnight, but it's something that we should absolutely prioritize, because patriarchy works against women. It works against men as well. But,
is this something you've encountered as well?
Yes, with some women that I've talked to, that they wanted a job and they wanted to work for themselves. They had to like tell me that, oh, wait a second, I need to go and ask my husband if I can do that. And usually the answer back is no, they cannot go to work or like things like that. But I feel like maybe there are solutions to this, as you said, like bring them work to their homes so they can work from the comfort of their house.
And for their husband's comfort.
Yeah, but still, I don't know. It's like, it's the place here that still has some people that have that kind of mentality, but I feel like it will change.
Yes, you can't force it, but in time it will develop. Now, I brought you both here today because yesterday was Women's Day, and I know that when this goes online, there are going to be comments underneath it saying, well, when's International Men's Day? Why do women have a international day and we don't? It happens every year. It's so predictable. So I put to you, why do we still have International Women's Day in 2024?
I mean, if we want to respond with a kind of a joke, we could say that every other day is Men's Day. But you know, the thing is, I still believe in the power of international occurrences, especially when it comes to women's rights. I think they are helpful. I think they can help, you know, create the critical mass of attention, amplify the messages. But on a couple of conditions again, that, you know, it's not a question about speaking about women's rights just once a year, number one. And number two is that we should really see this as an opportunity for unifying men and women against a common cause. I mean, this idea that, you know, women's right works against men's right is ridiculous. We know it. We have plenty of global evidence that shows that by creating a platform of equal opportunities for everybody in society, the whole society benefits. So, you know, we should really try to work and help mostly men understand and do not feel threatened by the idea of recognizing that there are still gaps, a lot of gaps when it comes to equal opportunities, and it should be firstly in their interest to do so.
Now, you mentioned gaps, and, you know, I think now in 2024, it does vary a bit in terms of what those gaps are, how serious they are between different regions and countries. When we look at Albania, I think certain gaps are more visible than in other countries. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think are the most pressing matters for women in this country at the moment?
I mean, earlier we were speaking about patriarchy and conservative norms and stereotypes. That's a massive challenge, and it's one that unfortunately cannot be solved overnight. So it requires a lot of sustained efforts and work, and this has repercussions across all aspects of women's life. Now, you know, we heard the story of Elisa. Certainly economic participation of women across the world and in this region and in Albania is still a big challenge. I think we have still a fairly wide gap when it comes to labor participation between men and women. We're talking about 12, 13 points gap. Again, this is shrinking over the years. We see that, you know, things are moving in the right direction. Perhaps we would hope to see changes a bit more faster. So that's one thing. The other thing that we still see is that, again, one direct product of patriarchy and conservative norms is the issue of gender-based violence and the issue of multiple forms of discrimination, so marginalizations of specific groups of women. So those are some of the areas that still concerns us a lot. I don't think it's an issue necessarily of policies and legislation. I think the political leadership over the years and across party lines, they've done a lot of efforts to actually put the country in line with the overall international standards, but a lot of issues in terms of implementation because of several reasons.
Yes. Elisa, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing women in Albania today?
I feel like misunderstanding, because I've seen a lot of talk shows in Albania, for example, talk about feminism, and other subjects that surround feminism. And I've seen men understand feminism as women like
attacking men, hating
exactly.
them.
And they don't understand that the definition is the equality of the genders. So I think that with them understanding that it's about equality and not women being superior to men, I think that would be a very good step. So, for example, the talk shows, they need to emphasize the equality rather than saying, oh, I'm a feminist, and then see them like fighting with each other. And also in schools, I would, I think when you teach a young generation how they should see themselves and how they should work on themselves and other subjects like that, I feel like you can teach them young to be a certain way, so they don't have to look up only to their parents as like their like examples, but they can also learn something more from schools that listen, like, okay, your parents act a certain way, maybe their parents are fine, but when they hear like a different opinion and like their teachers telling them like, look, you can do this and that, it's much better, I feel, for them.